Confederate flag, Nazi flag, LGBT flag. Trolling.
For what?
Because they're libtards, dude. They get triggered so easily. They're libtards.
So you just like causing chaos.
I just loved causing chaos. And
Hank Yu has once again found himself in the middle of a storm. What started as shocking revelations about his past has now snowballed into a scandal that could ruin him for good. For those who don't know, Hank Yu has been closely tied to Johnny Somali, the controversial streamer who has faced global backlash for his reckless stunts in South Korea. At first, Hank was seen as an enabler, even a guardian figure, helping Johnny navigate life overseas. But now, Hank's own dark history is coming into the spotlight, and the details are disturbing. Let's break it down. Hank Yu admitted in old streams that much of his content wasn't about creativity or truth, it was about chaos. He would deliberately use symbols like the Confederate flag, the Nazi flag, and even the LGBT flag in humiliating ways, just to trigger outrage and rack up views. He once said openly, "I loved causing chaos, and at that time it made me money." Imagine that, reducing powerful symbols, some tied to slavery and oppression, to nothing more than props for trolling. The Confederate flag alone has a deeply painful history. It wasn't just an old banner from the American South. It represented states that fought to preserve slavery during the Civil War. Across the world, the flag is seen as a symbol of inequality and racial oppression. And in South Korea, a nation that knows firsthand the scars of colonization and injustice, that kind of stunt hit a raw nerve. But Hank didn't stop there. He admitted that people even paid him to stage those offensive acts. It wasn't about free expression, it was business, cashing in on shock value at the expense of people's emotions. And his chaos didn't stay online. Hank's personal life reveals even more troubling patterns. He confessed to stealing $30,000 from his grandparents, money meant to care for him, and using it recklessly. Even worse, he described a violent altercation with his father, where he beat him with a baseball bat during a family dispute. Hank has even gone so far as to say his parents deserve to die. While he tries to frame it as just words, it shows the level of bitterness and hostility he carries. It paints a picture of someone who's been steeped in turmoil from a young age, and who now seems to thrive on spreading that same chaos around him. And that's where the parallel with Johnny Somali comes in. Both men share a pattern: alienated from their families, disowned or disgraced, and addicted to controversy. Johnny's family has long distanced themselves from his behavior, embarrassed by his destructive live streams. Together, Johnny and Hank seem trapped in a cycle of self-destruction, feeding off each other's scandals while the world watches. But Hank's actions in South Korea have pushed things to another level. He hasn't only disrespected international symbols, he's now turned his attention to Korea's own painful history. Recently, Hank made shocking comments about the Statue of Peace, a monument honoring the Korean women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during World War II. He casually suggested that the history behind the statue isn't even clear, and treated the controversy as just another opportunity for live stream content. Let's be clear, for Koreans, that statue isn't just art. It's a powerful national symbol, a reminder of suffering, survival, and resistance. For Hank to dismiss or question that history is beyond disrespectful. It's an insult to the survivors, their families, and an entire nation. And yet, Hank tries to frame it as performance, calling his live streaming an art form or an expression of self. But to many, it's obvious what it really is: deliberate provocation designed to stir outrage and profit from controversy. The question now is, how much further will this go? South Korean authorities have been tightly focused on Johnny Somali, watching his every move. And in that spotlight, Hank has managed to fly under the radar. But if he continues exploiting Korean symbols, culture, and history for clout, it may only be a matter of time before attention turns directly to him. Some even worry about his next moves. Hank has spoken about wanting to take his antics to China, but in a country with far stricter controls on dissent and chaos, that could end very badly, not just for him, but also for how other nations view South Koreans. At the end of the day, the truth about Hank Yu is now out in the open. From humiliating flags to disrespecting Korea's most painful history, from stealing family money to openly wishing death on his parents, this is not just trolling. It's a disturbing pattern of behavior that shows no sign of stopping. So what do you think? Should South Korea take stronger action against Hank Yu before things spiral even further? Or will he continue to slip through the cracks while riding on Johnny Somali's chaos? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.